The menstrual cycle is a series of coordinated hormonal and structural changes in the female reproductive system, preparing the body for potential pregnancy each month. The average cycle length is 28 days, but it can range from 21 to 35 days. The cycle has four main phases. The menstrual phase, approximately from day 1 to 5, the follicular phase from day 1 to 14, ovulation around day 14, and the luteal phase from day 15 to 28. The cycle is regulated by the Hypothalamic-Pituitary-Ovarian axis, which involves complex feedback loops. The hypothalamus releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone, abbreviated as GnRH, in a pulsatile manner. These GnRH pulses occur every 60 to 90 minutes, and their frequency and amplitude vary across the cycle. The anterior pituitary responds to GnRH by secreting follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and luteinizing hormone, or LH. The ovaries respond to FSH and LH by producing estradiol and progesterone and by developing follicles. The two-cell theory explains how ovarian cells work together. The theca interna cells, under LH stimulation, convert cholesterol into androstenedione and testosterone. The granulosa cells, under FSHE stimulation, convert these androgens into estradiol, using the enzyme aromatase. This cooperative production requires both cell types. Estradiol is the primary estrogen during the follicular phase. Feedback regulation is crucial. Negative feedback occurs when estradiol and progesterone inhibit GnRH and FSH or LH secretion. High estradiol suppress gonadotropins. Positive feedback is unique. High sustained estradiol levels, greater than 200 picograms per milliliter for more than 36 hours, trigger a massive surge of LH and a smaller surge of FSH. This LH surge causes ovulation. Progesterone from the corpus luteum exerts negative feedback on GnRH and LH. Now, let's go through the phases, starting with the menstrual phase. This phase begins on the first day of your period. The menstrual phase occurs when pregnancy does not happen. Falling progesterone and estrogen levels from the degenerating corpus luteum cause the functional layer of the endometrium to undergo vasoconstriction, ischemia, and shedding. This shedding manifests as menstrual bleeding, or menses. Normal menstrual flow is 20 to 80 milliliters over 3 to 7 days. The low levels of estrogen and progesterone at this time allow FSH to begin rising for the next cycle. The follicular phase begins on day 1. In the late luteal phase of the previous cycle, falling progesterone and estrogen remove negative feedback, causing a rise in FSH. FSH stimulates the recruitment of a cohort of antral follicles. Granulosa cells proliferate and produce estradiol. Rising estradiol exerts negative feedback on FSH selectively, causing atresia of smaller follicles and leading to the selection of a single dominant follicle. The dominant follicle continues to grow and produces increasing amounts of estradiol. Estradiol levels peak just before ovulation, at approximately 200 to 500 picograms per milliliter. Meanwhile, the endometrium proliferates under estradiol influence, known as the proliferative phase. Ovulation occurs around day 14. The trigger is sustained high estradiol, greater than 200 picograms per milliliter for more than 36 hours, which causes positive feedback and an LH surge of 10 to 25 milli-international units per milliliter. The LH surge lasts approximately 48 hours. The effects of the LH surge include completion of meiosis I in the oocyte, now called a secondary oocyte, rupture of the follicle wall via proteolytic enzymes such as plasmin and collagenase, and expulsion of the oocyte with cumulus cells. Ovulation occurs approximately 36 to 40 hours after the onset of the LH surge. Home LH surge detection kits are available to predict ovulation. The luteal phase runs from day 15 to 28. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle transforms into the corpus luteum under LH influence. The corpus luteum secretes large amounts of progesterone and some estradiol. Progesterone prepares the endometrium for implantation, creating the secretory phase. It increases vascularity, glandular secretions, and decidualization while inhibiting further endometrial proliferation. Progesterone also raises basal body temperature by 0.3 to 0.5 degrees Celsius, which can be used to confirm ovulation. If pregnancy does not occur, the corpus luteum degenerates after about 14 days, a process called luteolysis, due to declining LH. Falling progesterone and estrogen cause shedding of the endometrium, which is menstruation, starting a new cycle. Let's review the hormonal profiles across the cycle. FSH rises in the late luteal and early follicular phases, peaks just before ovulation as a minor peak, and is lowest during the luteal phase. LH is low throughout the follicular phase but surges dramatically at ovulation, then declines. Estradiol rises gradually in the follicular phase, has a sharp peak just before ovulation, and then a secondary smaller peak in the mid-luteal phase. Progesterone is low in the follicular phase, rises sharply after ovulation, peaks in the mid-luteal phase, and then falls if no pregnancy occurs. Endometrial changes correspond to the phases. The menstrual phase, days 1 to 5, involves shedding of the functional layer due to falling hormones. The proliferative phase, days 5 to 14, is driven by estrogen, which stimulates thickening of the endometrium and elongation of spiral arteries. The secretory phase, days 15 to 28, is driven by progesterone, which stimulates glands to secrete glycogen-rich fluid to support implantation. If implantation occurs, human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, from the embryo rescues the corpus luteum. Hormonal investigations are used in menstrual disorders. Serum FSH and LH are measured in the early follicular phase, days 2 to 4. Normal FSH is 4 to 10 milli-international units per milliliter, and LH is 2 to 8. Elevated FSH suggests reduced ovarian reserve or impending menopause. Serum estradiol, also measured on day 2 to 4, is normally 20 to 50 picograms per milliliter. Very high or very low levels indicate dysfunction. Progesterone is measured in the mid-luteal phase, day 21 of a 28-day cycle. A level greater than 3 nanograms per milliliter confirms ovulation. A low level suggests anovulation. Prolactin should be normal, below 25 nanograms per milliliter. Elevated prolactin can disrupt cycles. Thyroid function tests, including TSH and free T4, are important because both hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism cause menstrual irregularity. Androgens such as testosterone and DHEAS are elevated in polycystic ovary syndrome. Common anovulatory disorders include polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, characterized by chronic anovulation, high LH, relative FSH deficiency, and hyperandrogenism. Hypothalamic amenorrhea results from low GnRH due to stress, weight loss, or excessive exercise, leading to low FSH, low LH, and low estradiol. Premature ovarian insufficiency features elevated FSH, greater than 25 milli-international units per milliliter before age 40, with irregular cycles. Luteal phase defect involves inadequate progesterone secretion or response and is associated with infertility. In summary, the menstrual cycle consists of menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, and luteal phases. It is driven by pulsatile GnRH from the hypothalamus, which stimulates the pituitary to release FSH and LH. Ovarian follicles produce estradiol, and the corpus luteum produces progesterone. Negative feedback controls basal secretion, while positive feedback from high estradiol triggers the LH surge and ovulation. Menstruation occurs when progesterone and estrogen fall due to corpus luteum degeneration. Hormone assays help diagnose disorders such as PCOS and ovarian insufficiency. Understanding the hypothalamic-Pituitary-Ovarian axis is essential for managing infertility and menstrual irregularities. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.